What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock, what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow based off what the charts are showing and based off what the data is suggesting. I'm also going to break down why tomorrow is going to be a big day for the markets, as we do have a big announcement to be made by Jerome Powell, and also some big pieces of news affecting Tesla as well. We also have AI Day coming up in a couple of days, not to mention deliveries and earnings over the next couple of weeks. So we do have some very big things coming out for Tesla. I'm also going to end the video with some big news and also what Tesla put on their Twitter page, which is once again great news for the long-term future. Now, before I break anything down about why tomorrow is going to be a big day, before I talk about the data and what's going on with SPY and the overall market and Tesla's share price, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. Not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Weeple link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Weeple, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any of these 12 free stocks could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 3 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So right now, Tesla's up about 2.51% for the day. It is definitely outperforming the SPY, the NASDAQ, the QQQ, and the futures. And it is a pretty decent sign. But the real question, in my honest opinion, is how long could Tesla really keep this up? And also, as Tesla pushes up, how on earth is it going to respond to these stronger levels of resistance? Now, we do have some big things coming out for tomorrow. We actually have the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell speaking. He actually has a pre-recorded video, and it's going to be very important because if he does say anything involving the markets will likely move. If he does say something about like interest rates or like some future Fed policy or things like that, it could be very big. Now, I don't really think he's going to say anything that's like that huge, but it is a possibility, which is why it is very important to really pay attention to what he ends up saying. He's going to be speaking at 10:15 a.m. Eastern time, or at least the pre-recorded video is going to be coming out. So please be ready for this. It's going to be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Be ready. Also note that the fear and greed index is now at a level that's very comparable to what we saw back in June. We could see it, we're on extreme fear right now, and the markets actually did something that many people did not expect, and that is the SPY actually broke its low from June. We actually came all the way down to 360, got a slight bounce off that. But overall, guys, over the last couple of days, we just keep on making those lower lows over and over again. And we reached the lowest level of this calendar year. So very big for SPY. And the crazy thing is, despite this, Tesla's holding up pretty well, at least as of right now. So that's very good. But there is one thing about SPY that can actually help Tesla in the overall market. And that is when you look at the weekly chart. Let me hide all drawings. So we're going to look at the weekly chart and the EMAs, and you will notice, let's actually first look over the last decade. The 200 EMA tends to be very strong support for the SPY, at least historically, and it only actually gets broken during like major events, during like recessions and things like that. Like back in like 2008, if we go back here, you will notice we came below it for quite a bit of time, but since 2008, we've been above this red line, which is the 200 EMA, for quite a bit of time. During the virus crash that happened, the flash crash, which was like super fast, we did come below it for like a week or two, but then we quickly rebounded right above it. So the market is very close to retesting this zone. I do believe we're going to see some support around here as many buyers will step in, but I can't guarantee you that this guarantees that we are just going to continue to just rally once we touch it. We could actually kind of like bounce off of it temporarily, but I do anticipate a lot of chop around this zone, which is why it's very important as the SPY is getting closer. And I do believe we may be testing this 200 EMA very soon. This would bring SPY, at least as of right now, below 360 to that 358 to 359 level. So be on the lookout for this. If we do get a bounce off of this could be pretty good for Tesla and the overall market. But if we don't, if we continue to plummet down, it won't be good. Now, what's good about Tesla, what I'm liking about it is we're showing lots of relative strength. Tesla's once again up like 2%, whereas the QQQ, the NASDAQ, they're just barely up. They're pretty flat for the day overall. But the thing is, the price action of the overall market is having an effect on Tesla, because when you look at it, we had this big gap to the upside. Tesla pushed all the way up. We first off filled the gap that was formed a couple of days ago right over here. And I mentioned that this was very possible yesterday. I talked about this being a possibility, but then I told everyone that I did see the possibility of Tesla coming down after that and actually ending like around that 280 range or somewhere like around there. So what happened to Tesla is we actually gapped up. We filled the gap that was like made previously. Then we came tumbling down to fill the gap down here. So we did see a big drop today with the overall market as SPY was tumbling down too. But then after that we held up. We got a nice push near the very end. So we are still outperforming the market to some nice degree. Now, one thing that some people have mentioned is the fact that there is the possibility that we have a head and shoulders forming. I can't confirm it just yet until we see how we open and things like that. But right now, it looks like Tesla's being hit by very strong levels of resistance. If you look right here, Tesla has resistance at that 285 level. We could actually break past that. We've done that before. But the question is, what's going to happen if we get to that 288 to 290 range? We got a big rejection off that, a double top kind of like form there. And it is possible that we could retest this zone, but the resistance is strong and we could get another big rejection from there. So with that said, I want to just look at the data real quick before I break more information down about Tesla's share price and the price action for tomorrow. Right now, Tesla's a stock with a very high PE ratio, but the problem with this is we do have a tendency of seeing tech stocks getting those big hits during these earnings recessions. But the good thing about Tesla is they are working on this. They're adjusting their margins. They're working very hard to keep up with demand. And considering that we have deliveries to be coming out over the next couple of days, we are still very optimistic that Tesla will break a record. And I do believe Q4 will be even better for them, but it does depend on global situations. As of right now, they're looking pretty clear. Now, looking down right over here, we could see we were basically trading very similar to SPY for almost the entire year. And just recently, you could see this big dichotomy right over here. SPY is just tumbling down, it's crashing, we're hitting new lows, but Tesla is just continuing to hold up pretty well. And it makes us very kind of like double minded as to how, yeah, we're doing well for Tesla, we're holding up, but at the same time, are we going to come down and start following the rest of the market, right? You have to keep that in your mind. Could something happen after AI day? It's one of those things we'll have to wait and see, but the price price ratio is continuing to respect an uptrend, which shows how well I guess Tesla's holding up. And I consider that a good thing, but at the same time, I'm once again very double minded. Now, going down right here, we have these very key zones that I already mentioned in previous videos. You could see how the intraday volume really kicks in when Tesla starts to drop. And what's good is what's very interesting is when you look at the seasonality, you will notice that Tesla tends to do well on Mondays and Tuesdays, but Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays tend to not be as well days for it historically, at least for this year alone. And we tend to have less green days on these later days of the week. Now, this is going to be a different week because of AI Day. We could see us kind of like push on that specific day and maybe react depending on what's announced afterwards. So we'll have to wait and see how that really goes. But I want to let you guys know that historically, 48% of the time we're green on Wednesdays, which means that about 52% of the time we're red. So please keep that in mind. These days tend to not be as good as Monday or Tuesday. Now, another big thing that's worth mentioning is when we go down right here, the volume is looking pretty nice on Tesla. We're just holding up very well. But down here, you will notice that the short volume percentage is also dropping pretty hard to these low levels. Now, when we tend to come this low, we tend to see it actually come back in when many shorts start to pile in, at least historically. So over the next couple of days, guys, I'm going to be very careful with Tesla because shorts like to come in during times like these. Now, there's a guarantee it's going to happen tomorrow. It may take a couple of trading days, maybe going to like next week, but it is still something to be very wary of. With that said, looking at this zone, I'm a little bit concerned right about here, this 288 to 290 range. I could see Tesla retest this tomorrow, but once again, people also talk about this head and shoulders forming. So I'm actually very, very cautious about how I'm going to trade this. And if it does come up here, I wouldn't necessarily just load up on calls thinking it's going to go to like 300 instantly. I'd be very cautious. We do have very strong resistance right around here. Now, if Tesla does come down, please note that we have key support at 280. And if that doesn't hold us, then we could actually come all the way down to 275. That's another very key zone. And you guys can see how this held us up just going into like yesterday. Now, if we come below 275, I'd be watching 272 followed by 270. This is another very key zone. Tesla actually got a bounce off this previously, so please be very mindful of these ranges. If we push up once again, I'm going to be watching for 285, 288, and then 290. Now, what am I predicting for tomorrow? It really depends on Jerome Powell as well. It also depends on the overall market. I am kind of concerned about SPY, guys. SPY is continuing to plummet. We're not showing a big sign of a bounce just yet, but if SPY does bounce off that 358 zone, that could be pretty decent for Tesla. So what I'm going to be watching for is, because we are seeing kind of like an inverse a head and shoulders like formation. We'll have to see confirmation of this first before making that claim. Tomorrow, what likely happens is the market tends to push up into like the earlier hours, and we tend to drop as the time goes on. So for Tesla, we're going to be fighting that 285 range. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually try to break above it. We just try one more time, but I'm not as confident in us actually being able to break past this zone. So 288 may be very strong resistance. We could get a big rejection off that. And if we don't continue to hold up as well, we could start to tumble down just like this, and Tesla could actually turn red for part of tomorrow. So carefully watch the VWAP, watch your 200 EMAs, and any other EMAs that could be acting as support or resistance. Watch your other moving averages, your SMAs, and so on and so forth. So be very careful right there. I'm anticipating that Tesla's going to retest 280. We're going to actually come down. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually come down to about 275. We try to hold it from there, and it's very possible for us to actually close around the mid 270s, maybe just slightly red for the day, maybe like the high to mid 270s. Very possible for tomorrow, guys. A slight red day would be completely healthy. I am anticipating that for Tesla because of what the overall market is doing and how this thing has been kind of like reacting to these new demand zones. So with that said, watch this zone very carefully, 288 to 290 if we get there. If we don't even like get there tomorrow and we start to just kind of drop as the day goes on, watch the volume and watch how we react to support and resistance. I'm actually kind of like optimistic that Tesla's going to hold up still better than the overall market, but this will have somewhat of an effect on it. You could see right over here, for instance, Tesla pushed up pretty hard into open, then we had a big drop all the way down to that 275 zone, very close to it. So it really shows how the market still affects Tesla, just not as much as before. And my question is, how long could Tesla really hold up like this, right? We'll really have to wait and see. With the AI day coming up, I'm pretty optimistic, but we have other very big pieces of news coming out as well. We can see right over here that Tesla jumps amidst the optimistic report of Q3 deliveries, and people are very optimistic for them. They believe Tesla's going to do very well and break records. However, Tesla has noted that Q4 is going to be even better for them when it comes to deliveries, because we are seeing very high demand, especially as the year ends. And the big thing that I'm going to be watching for are the margins, the numbers, how well they actually do, and whether or not Tesla could keep up with their goals. Tesla should be delivering about 1.4 million cars this year. Is it possible? Yes. Could Tesla do it? Sure. But we'll have to wait and see the numbers first to really believe it, right? So I'm very optimistic. I think they could actually reach these numbers because Shanghai is doing super well. I believe that the deliveries are up, or like the production capacity is up like 38% for the year. We have the new gigafactories with Berlin coming out. It's doing very well. There was a fire there recently, but I'm seeing that the news is suggesting that things are just clearing up. They're doing pretty well from there. So I'm hoping that everything's a-okay. It should be fine for them from that end. And the other gigafactories are also expanding very well. So they're still looking fantastic. The last thing I want to talk about is this right here. Tesla put on their Twitter page that the blind spot camera position is now adjustable on your Teslas. So it's a very, very big update. And to me personally, I think that's absolutely incredible, because this allows for more drivers to actually view different areas that they can't often see. So what I love about Tesla is the innovation that keeps on coming, and for the long term, these innovations are going to be big for the company. With AI Day coming soon and many other big innovations to come, Tesla is truly going not just from 0 to 1, but from 1 to 10 to 100 to infinity and beyond. Now, that was just a joke, but I'm sure you guys get my point. I'm super optimistic long term. The markets right now are pretty choppy. This may affect Tesla for the short term, but for the long term, the future is still very bright. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, because the long term future is bright, and peace out.